after the team from the Terrigen species announced the completion of the landmass of the Adnensis agenda, the Wanga god Fayed Siadia established the controversial Adnensis Safety Committee. At the Kingdom of Light, Theosaurus acclaimed herself as the Queen of the Kingdom of Light. At the Kingdom of Dark, Margalogalidal acclaimed himself as the King of the Kingdom of Dark. Simultaneously, Awa and Magoa subjected themselves into becoming the temporary servants of the kingdoms of light and dark. Meanwhile, the Antheogodon species worked with the Wanga god Fayed Siadia in order to build the Eternal Energies Barrier. During this time, the leadership of the Antheogodon species and Fayed Siadia to discuss the general objective and questionable purpose of this barrier. Elsewhere in the Kamiraklovis existential web, a complex, intricate maze of molten metal and stone laid undisturbed, which would soon become known as the Thrashosil Cosmolands. Eventually, after they solidified, thousands of fibrous species of Thrashadia slowly coated the surface of these land masses. Alongside them, fungal colonies of Tabthalia evolved to coexist, in addition to magental mineral structures named Thridalma. Millions upon years later here, a small alien humanoid species named the Tabian species evolved. Later on they developed a religion they called Usagwana, honoring their sacred deity Uhansia. However, as their once simple religion spread, new factions and parties arose as religious competition. Additionally, the great one Salnath Thornton dropped from the heavens, planting the ancient tree of Salnath. Meanwhile, in another region known as the Theosmal Complex, was where the Tamikian species slowly evolved into being. In the distant past, the Tamikian species were once flesh and blood, before they adopted the idea of becoming a biomechanical species. However, after numerous natural and artificial catastrophes, such as the First War of the Theosmal Complex, they collectively became a pessimistic species afterwards. As for the Theosmal Complex itself, laid buried patches of a crimson-red mineral named Silverian or 2 chrysalibav within its lands. After these catastrophic, species-wide events, the Tamikians were left as a xenophobic, cautious, and untrusting species ingrained in their psyche. But in truth, this species would have benefited considerably with external resources, but they succumbed to hostility and prejudice and started dying out. Eventually, their xenophobic ideologies and perturbed philosophies ate away at their physical bodies, becoming the biomechanical species they were to be remembered as. Consequently, the Tamikian species quickly grew, physically and psychologically challenged. Hence, the death rate to birth rate skyrocketed until their enigmatic ruins and remnants were left. Meanwhile, in the Nolvengi territory, a member of the Shelkivian species named Lamas Ridden was pondering about how to beautify her homeland. Around the same time, a yellow chartreuse life center sphere became surrounded by peacock green biostone, before becoming known as the ominous Tuz Larud region. Then first Kiwayu Omni God Selasu Setalaninia used the 4 eternal energies to build and sustain the Kyansam territory region. A short time later, first Kiwayu Omni God Selasu used her innate connection to these energies to reinforce the eternal energies barrier. But unknowns the first Kiwayu Omni God Selasu, the barrier had an irreparable weakness: its connection to the ebb and flow of the 4 eternal energies. Thankfully, at the time, the demonic species of the Azumid Eternal Lake had not acknowledged this physical energy-based weakness beforehand. However, first Kiwayu Omni God Selasu quickly recognized the issue and tried to convince Wanga God Fayed Siadia about the issue, but to no avail.